these pom-poms. Woo! Hello friends, welcome back. Today we are going to be DIYing. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Tina Golick. We're gonna be doing some DIYs. This is actually a collaboration video with Heidi Sonboul. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. This is a DIY challenge, and I will have her playlist in the description box below. That way you guys have access to all of the DIYers out there in the same theme. And I always like that because everybody's got different tastes. So you can always find somebody in the playlist that has your style. Okay, so Heidi's theme is red, white, and blue, which is perfect for the 4th of July, which is coming right up. So I wanted to give you a preview of what I'm going to be making. That way you can decide if you want to continue watching this video or not. So I'm going to be making a candle holder that's very light reflective, but also is going to protect my candle from the wind, and very patriotic. A square wreath. I've always wanted to make one, and I love how this one turned out. I have some tiered tray decor that I made from Dollar Tree products and a floral centerpiece. So I am very happy with how all of these things came out. If you like them too, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I would love to get to know you better. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so for this first DIY, I'm going to take apart this cute little sign that I got at the Dollar Tree. So I'm gonna paint the outside of this white. It's kind of a seafoam green color now. I'm gonna paint the outside white. I'm gonna set it down and paint the outside edge white as well. And I'm just gonna set this aside and let it dry. And since I have my paints out, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next DIY because I need to paint them as well. Since my paints are out, my brushes are out. I don't usually do that. I usually finish one DIY before I show you the next one. But like I said, I have my paints out. So these are 3 very heavy candle holders that I found at the Dollar Tree. One says hope, one says faith, and the other one says love. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint them white. They do have grooves in them, and so it did take, a little bit of pushing the brush in there to get white, in all the grooves. You could just whitewash it if you wanted to leave that black underneath there, or you could spray paint these. That would be a lot quicker, but I'm gonna set those aside and let those dry as well. So I had another one of these cute little trucks from Christmas time. I just had it in my craft stash, I guess you could call it, and I'm just gonna pop that tree off of it. And again, since I had my paints out, I'm gonna use English navy for the front of this little truck. So it actually looks like black here, but it's not. It's just a very dark navy blue. It's probably the closest to the same color you would actually see on a flag. It's just a very dark blue. So I'm just gonna paint the very front of this truck, and I'm gonna paint the sides as well, just so seeing it from the side, you wouldn't be able to see any of that wood color. So I just wanted the sides painted as well. And I'm not sure if I had said, but I did get this at the Dollar Tree. It was one of those things I had found at the Dollar Tree at Christmas time, and I just had it in my stash. I actually have another one that's more 3-dimensional that I found at the grocery outlet, and it's got pumpkins and stuff on it. And I considered using it, but I liked this one because it's flat. So as you can see, I am painting the body of the truck white. And again, I'm making sure that the sides are painted, and actually the white part I ended up going over twice. It needed 2 coats, but yep, just painting the body white. And I'm gonna go ahead and paint the tire rims, or the tire wells. I'm not sure what you call those. I can't think of what they're called right now. Anyway, I painted those white too. Yes, this part right here, that's what I meant. Okay, so I've got everything painted white that's gonna be white. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint my door red. And the color that I'm using is called Bright Red. And I think that it is an apple barrel paint. I had a couple different paints out that I was testing. This one was just that classic bright red color that you would see on a flag. So that's why I went with this. So I'm just gonna paint the entire door red, and I'm going to paint the inside of the rim. So like on the other parts I painted the outside edge, so I'm gonna paint the inside rim of the window so you don't see any of that wood through the window. Okay, so you can see I'm going over that white one more time. I just felt like it needed to be a little bit brighter. So just for reference, if you can't find this truck or you don't have it or there's nowhere to find it, you could use like a cute little birdhouse or anything and just use these same colors. It doesn't have to be that little truck. So now that my little frame has dried, the outside, the white part, I'm gonna paint the inside rim red. And I'm just going to go right to that very front edge. I am making sure that that front edge stays white. I'm not worried about the back, but just the front. Okay, so my inside rim is all red. I am gonna go back over that outside edge and make sure that it's nice and bright. I did get a couple brush strokes on it. And I'm gonna use this metallic blue paint. I got that years ago, and I think I got it at Ben Franklin's. That's how long I've had it. So I'm gonna use a very small brush, and I'm going to trace or go over the top of the words on the inside of this sign. So it's kind of a little pop-up type thing that was on the inside of that little sign that I had got. And it says follow your dreams, and I thought that was perfect because that's what America is all about, isn't it? Having a dream and it being attainable, working for it. And yeah, so I think that blue just kind of made it stand out a little bit more. I could have gone crazy and added all kinds of stuff to this, but I didn't want to do that. So I'm gonna let it dry, and I'm gonna turn my attention back to the little truck now and paint the tires black. So yeah, I'm going to paint them black. I am going in a circular motion, so the brush strokes are kind of round, and I'm also going to paint the edges as well. Okay, it is dry and ready for me to embellish, and I considered painting red stripes on the back of it, kind of like the American flag, but I kind of wanted to add like ribbon to it. So I experimented with a few different kinds, and I ended up wanting to use this red and white striped ribbon. So I cut it into the basic shape and cut out like the tire well area, so it just kind of, so that area stayed white and the stripes kind of went down just the body of the truck. So I'm gonna hot glue that into place. So I didn't actually cut it perfect. So my solution to this was with another very small tipped brush, I just went over or finished out the areas where the red stripes were supposed to be, if that makes sense. So you can see here, I'm just kind of filling in so it just went right up to the edge with paint. And honestly, you couldn't tell the difference. So I did carry it over on the edge as well. That way, if you did see it from the side, you could see those red stripes kind of carry over around the edge of it. So something I was debating was if I should have the red stripes, the red and white stripes, over the entire body of the truck. And I kind of liked it just like that. So that's where I decided to leave it. I added a little bit of gray in the very center of the tires, and I think it's so cute like that. So I'm going to use this wired star garland that I got from the Dollar Tree. I'm pulling off the tiniest little white stars from it, and I'm going to hot glue them on there. So I'm just like tapping a little bit of hot glue on and carefully placing my stars. It wasn't even enough hot glue to actually burn my finger or anything, but you know, if it's something that would be a concern, you could use a little paintbrush or something to kind of press it into the hot glue. And I just think those little stars look perfect on the front of that truck. I thought that was so cute. I could have painted them on there, but I don't know, I found this easier. So if you found it easier to paint stars, then by all means do that. So earlier I had suggested like maybe a little birdhouse or something if you couldn't find this truck. I'm really considering going to the Dollar Tree and getting one of their little birdhouses, because I think that one of those painted in this fashion would be so cute on my tiered tray as well. So I'm going to use the tiny little flags that come in the cupcake liner kit from the Dollar Tree. So I actually had those from last year. I don't know if they have those this year, but yeah, I'm just gonna glue some little white flowers in the back. I think it's like a baby's breath type flower, and one bachelor button flower. It's like a nice deep blue. To me, blue flowers are really hard to find that look realistic. So the only thing that I could find as far as blue is the bachelor button flowers. And that was just something that I had in my stash. So I'm not really sure where you'd find those. But those little flags that are for the top of the cupcakes are just so perfect for the back of that truck. So the little stars are from Table Scatter that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I think they're add just the right amount of sparkle in there. So for my next DIY, I'm going to use that same striped ribbon, and I'm going to use one of the square wreath frames that I got from the Dollar Tree. So I've always wanted to make a square wreath. I've just never really known exactly how I wanted to do it. I didn't want to do one of the mesh wreaths. I just feel like they're kind of, I don't know, kind of everybody's doing them, I guess. So I wanted something a little bit more unique. So I'm going to cut my ribbon into equal parts, and I'm gonna flip my wreath over, and I'm gonna start hot gluing my ribbon across sideways. And I want to make sure, I just want to make sure that all my ribbon is going in the same direction. And I want to make sure that my red and white stripes are equal, and I don't have like a really wide red stripe or something. So I want to make sure that they're laid out correctly and glued right. I probably would have been a little bit more vigilant if I was going to do this over again, but I think it turned out pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and do this entire side just like this. And when I get to the end, I'm gonna grab this. It's like a bow that you can put on the back of the chair. And I found this at the Dollar Tree. It's got like an elastic piece that kind of slips over the back of the chair. Well, I'm gonna use this striped ribbon because the stripes are almost the same width as the other ribbon that I was using. And I wanted something that was just a little bit wider, and this is wider. So it can go along the two sides where I need my stripes to be going straight down, if that makes sense. I want all of my stripes going in the same direction on the entire wreath. So two sides, I need the stripes to go along the entire width of it. So I'm just gonna cut them into place and hot glue them. I did put some hot glue right down the center, and that way it just made it held it into place just a little bit better while I was folding over edges and gluing, and that worked great. So the inside corner, I just cut a little piece straight across, and that enabled me to fold it over and glue it, and it just worked out perfect. It was very, very simple to do. Okay, so you can see here that inside corner, I just cut straight across right there. That way I could fold it over and hot glue it into place. It was perfect. It was very, very simple. This ribbon that I got from this chair backing was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. So I just did the other side the exact same with the smaller ribbon, and once I got that finished, then I'm gonna grab this. It's like a red sequence ribbon, and it's out at Christmas time, although they do still have it in the Dollar Tree right now. I've got like 4 or 5 rolls of it. I think it's so pretty, but it does shed a lot. You should have seen my floor. It was covered in red sequins, but I'm just gonna, because I had pieces pre-cut that I was gonna use on something else, so I'm just gonna make like a little bit of a fan. I used 4 pieces of ribbon, just kind of folded them over. You've seen how I did it. And I'm gonna pick the worst looking corner on my wreath, and I just hot glued those red ribbon into place, and I'm gonna use that star covered bow that came off of that chair backing and glue it down there. So it's actually a pretty stiff fabric, this bow, so I had to kind of fluff up the bow a little bit, and I just liked the red sparkle, and so kind of just made little bow pieces to kind of stick out from underneath that star covered ribbon, just to give it a little bit of sparkle, I guess. So I just put it in all of the areas that I thought it needed a little bit of glittery sparkle. And I actually had started out using a little piece of wire and wiring them together. And then I kind of figured out, you know, it's wired ribbon, so I just twisted them together and glued them like that. So I'm going to use this little sign. It says, "In God We Trust." I actually took the star off of it and just wanted that red part, and I'm going to use it as a hanger. So I don't know if you really needed this, but it gave it just a little bit more security to me. So I thought about using that star in the middle of the bow, but the colors were too similar, so you really didn't even notice it. But I do have something else in mind. But in the meantime, I've hot glued my little truck on the opposite corner at the bottom, and I think it's so cute on there. If you notice, the color of the star-covered bow, the blue in it is the same dark navy blue as I used on the truck, which was purely by accident, but I was so happy about it. So this little sign that says USA on it, it's got like a Uncle Sam hat on the top. I'm actually going to glue that Uncle Sam hat right in the center of that bow. It's very glittery, and I just thought it was perfect in there. You know, you could put anything on this wreath, but this is just kind of what mine morphed into. And honestly, this is kind of one of those projects where you could just keep adding and adding and adding. And I almost even thought about putting a mirror behind this whole thing, just to be even more reflective and unique. But I don't know, I might end up doing that later. It depends on where I decide to put this. So as you can see, I've added a little bit more of that striped ribbon kind of mixed in there. I just thought it needed a little bit of brightening right there. And I cut them on a diagonal, and that's where I kind of had to stop myself. So back to this little frame, my paint is dry, and I'm gonna go ahead and use this very thin patriotic ribbon, and I got that at Walmart, and actually I think it was on clearance for $2. I don't necessarily think that I got it for that price. I don't know if anybody else has had that happen, but yeah, I didn't feel like going and standing in the customer service line just to get like 25 cents back or whatever, because you can't just go to the register. Anyway, I'm gonna add that ribbon around there, and then I'm gonna glue that piece back on, and that's all I'm gonna do to this. It's perfect for my tiered tray, The colors say everything, and I just didn't feel like it needed anything more than that. And I'm happy that it's unique and it's not like something you see on everybody's tiered tray. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish these up. I'm gonna use a very small tipped paintbrush and that same metallic blue paint. So I actually want all three of these to look a little bit different, and I would say, you know, if you guys are gonna recreate this exact DIY, then, you know, do it how you think it would look best. There's lots of like little swirls and grooves and stuff within the pattern on here that there's like a ton of stuff you could do to them to embellish them. But I'm just gonna paint the word love in blue, and on the word faith, I'm going to add a little bit of metallic copper to my red paint, and I'm hoping that it's going to give it a little bit of a metallic look. And I think it did somewhat. It kind of maybe darkened that red a little bit, kind of gave it more of an antiqued red look. I don't know if that makes sense, but so I just painted the word faith red, and hope I wanted white, and I wasn't sure how I was going to make a white word stand out on a white background. So I did try to trace it with gray, and I did put glitter on the word hope. And I did add some red on some of those little swirls that I was talking about. And actually I didn't even paint all of them, just some of them. And I wasn't liking that the word isn't standing out that much. I wanted my words to be red, white, and blue. But I just didn't feel like the white word hope was standing out very much. So there's like a square outline around the words. So on the blue word love, I did a red square around it. And on the red word faith, I did a blue square outline around it. And this gave me an idea for the word hope. So what I ended up doing was, since I had red swirls on it and already had that color, I was just going to fill in the background of the word hope with the metallic blue. That way it's got red, white, and blue on it, the whole thing, you know. So I think it worked pretty good. So I'm actually going to glue these together, and you could use them separately, but I wanted them in a certain order, even because in the Bible, when faith, hope, and love is mentioned, it's mentioned in that order. So I wanted them in that order. And I'm going to add some more of those glittery star table scatter. And so on the top one with the word faith and red, I added red stars, and I added them all the way around. So on the middle one with hope, I added white stars, and the bottom with blue. So I'm going to use this, what do you call those, whirligig, and I'm going to cut it apart. Cut each one of these pieces off, and right where it's connected, it's kind of like a half moon shape. So I'm going to follow that line and cut it that way, and I'm going to glue these onto, it's like a little small fish bowl, and I got that at the Dollar Tree. The whirligig, I got that at the Dollar Tree too. I don't know if there's another name for those, but I'm just going to glue those on. I glued the bottom, the top piece, and the side piece, and they almost look like a teardrop with like a little arm sticking out. So how I'm doing this is I'm kind of, when I glue them on, I'm doing all the red and white ones together, and I'm kind of overlapping them just a little bit, just on that arm that's kind of sticking out. And yeah, there's 4 red and white ones, and there's 4 blue and white ones. So in my mind, since on the American flag there's more red and white than there is blue, I used all 4 of the red and white ones, and then I had enough room for 2 of the blue ones. And that to me turned out perfect, because I don't know, in my mind more symmetrical that way. So on that end piece, when I got to the end, I just kind of tucked it under the first one where I started and glued that down. And then I wanted to add something else to it. So I'm gonna add some of the blue bead necklaces. I just used one necklace and I got those at the Dollar Tree as well. They are in the Mardi Gras stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna just glue one row kind of on that bottom lip of the fishbowl vase, and I just went around and did it one more time, kind of right over the top of it, so it's 2 rows. Cut the excess off, and then there was like a little glass piece in between at the bottom of these, and I just didn't like that, so I'm going to add some more of that glittery star table scatter. So with the red ones I added a red star, and next to the blue ones I added a blue star. Perfect amount of glitter, I think. I like that. I like that the inside of it is silver, so it's really reflective of the candlelight. So for this last DIY, I'm going to use a 6-inch clay pot. I'm going to paint it white, and I did give it 2 coats and let it dry really well. And I considered like sanding it and giving it like kind of a farmhouse look, which you could do, but I did decide against that. And what I did was I used some of these napkins. They're patriotic napkins, kind of more of those darker antique colors. And I did find these at the Dollar Tree. Actually, I got them a couple of years ago, and I've just had them ever since. So you could use any kind of napkin for this project, but I'm using a Mod Podge glue, and the kind that I'm using is a little bit shiny, a little bit glossy, and I'm just going to glue my napkin pieces on there. So you do want to make sure and take that, they're 2-ply napkins, so you want to make sure and take that second ply off, so it's just a very thin napkin on there. And I wasn't worried about my stripes being perfect or anything. It's kind of rustic, and I really love how this turned out. I really do. So I did leave the white rim at the top alone and left it like that. You could put like a ribbon or something on there, or you know, sand it to give it an antique look if you wanted, but I liked it like that. So I got this rose bouquet at Walmart for $3. Actually, I got 2 of those bouquets, and I just cut the stems, and I'm gonna push all of the leaves down to the very base. So it's gonna cover up that white foam, which I got at the Dollar Tree as well. So on this first bouquet that I'm using, that's what I did to all of the leaves. I pushed them down to the bottom to cover up that foam. And you'll notice how I'm putting the flowers in. The center one, I've got a rose in the center, and it's higher than the next row down is just a little bit lower, and then the next row down is a little bit lower. So it's kind of got a globe look at the top with the flowers itself, if that makes sense. So I just kind of equally spread those out, and once I got those in there equally spread out, I'm going to go ahead and use my second bouquet and just kind of fill in. I'm not going to worry about pushing the leaves all the way down on this bouquet just because that foam is covered up, and I did want some leaves kind of, you know, mixed in amongst there. So it needed a little bit of color. So I'm going to use some blue bachelor buttons. So I already had these, so you could use whatever you think would look best. Blue flowers are hard, like I said. I don't like necessarily blue carnations. That's just me. I was a florist for many years, so maybe that's why I like for them to look more realistic. So I got this little pick at Walmart for $1.98. It's got 3 little patriotic pom-poms on it. I love it. So I just put that in there, and I'm going to add some red mesh glittery ribbon, which I got at the Dollar Tree. And how I'm going to attach it is with this piece of stem that I cut off. I'm going to use it like a pick, and push it through there. It's going to hold my ribbon up. So this is something you would commonly see in a floral shop. It just kind of dresses up the bottom, the pot itself. So I'm not really wanting to dress up the pot. I just made a very simple bow, and I'm going to actually push up the ribbon around that's going around the pot. I'm going to push it all the way up to the top because I don't want to see it. But if you have a plain pot, that's a good way to dress it up. So the last thing I'm going to add is some fairy lights, and these do not require batteries. I really love these. I do have a separate video on where I got them. The color is Daylight, which is perfect. Kind of has like a slight blue look to it, which just gives a nice emphasis on the blue and a nice little glow. I put the on-off switch right next to the bow so I could easily turn it off or on. I think I'm going to use this for our church. So I think that's what I'm going to do with that. But these are how they all turned out. I love how they turned out. I'm probably going to be having some more patriotic DIYs here soon. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and make sure and visit Heidi on her channel and her playlist, everyone else and their videos. So you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye for now.